Hello and welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight. Local contractors urge President Hakainde Hichilema to stop calling them criminals. The UPND calls for redeployment of non-performing civil servants. Government backs the continuous distribution of farming inputs. In international news, Nigerians keep watch for votes outcome after delays. And in sports news, Zambia Rugby pledges to continue transforming the lives of vulnerable children.
On Monday, 27th February 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, President of UPP.
What you are saying is, we in the UPP, if we want to fight against corruption, we must separate, as a matter of agency, policy formulation from implementation. Right now we have 9 ministries making policies, implementing policies. It is wrong.
As they discuss governance, corruption, justice, and economy.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello again, the news in detail. A group of youths in Lusaka have adopted a deliberate policy to employ women in previously male-dominated fields. In an interview with Camnet News, environmental activist Martin Mulenga, who obtained a contract of collecting garbage in the Central Business District of Lusaka from the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU, says he opted to engage a lot of women in his project as a means of empowering them. Mr. Mulenga explains that unlike before, where such jobs used to exclusively go to men because women were deemed too delicate for the tasks, currently women are doing more of such jobs in order to empower themselves. Meanwhile, Mr. Mulenga has urged the government to intensify measures that will ensure that the environment is kept clean at all times. More in this report.
In developing countries where the most impoverished people live alongside garbage heap, many earn a living as waste collectors. Although women waste collectors significantly outnumber male waste collectors, they face inequality and disproportionate economic and healthy impacts in comparison to their male counterparts. A group of youths in Lusaka who were recently awarded a contract by the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit to collect garbage in the CBD of Lusaka have adopted a deliberate policy to employ women in previously male-dominated fields.
Mwamelo tuchita empower I programu tinalibe pokata madezi ano business ya chitamunga ya yumayumako but munga kulisa bazimayi tapezeka kuti ngachitikatenga kandramu kama itizatenga kama wazatipasira tizapezeka kuti ma empower kulisa bazimayi azachitabwanji ma business atu azaenda pasogolo elo chamene ninga pempe maningi chikulu nipempa kuti project yatu isaka imilile fast loko kujubika fast pempa kuti mangapitirize so chabe kuti tikanaisa chitabwanji tikazimvera ko bwino mu government inabwerapo tapapa taziko mutonga ziko mukulimwa ba president na vice president tawo inchitametu chita yatitandizira mu njira za tenzeribe batandizira tenzeribe ndrama tenzeribe ma empowerment ati tiambe oro ma business yatu but pandrama amene batipasako yi tizachitako empower ku ma business yatu.
Meanwhile, environmental activist Martin Mulenga, who is leading the group, calls for the local authority to intensify measures that will ensure that sanity is maintained in the city and other surrounding areas all the time. In order to curb the spread of cholera, all traders have been advised to ensure that they keep their trading places clean at all time.
This issue of saying no street vendors, street what? No, the president is no overstepping his foot in the minister. The minister says the street vendors go out the market. Then the president said no, let them. That's the issue for another day. What we want is to see a clean city and above all to have health, good health for everyone out there. So my last word is clean environment is essential for our health living. Let's work together. Our council, come on board. support.
So I'm asking to each and every person here in Zambia, let us change our mindset. We are going to continue with this program up to where we see that here now at least Zambians have started following the program. And I'm asking you, media, you should help us in terms of sensitizing, keep Zambia clean.
According to Mr. Mulinga, there is need for a daily reminder if the country is to ensure that it is kept clean and free from diseases. The traders are also delighted that the group has maintained its effort in providing a service by ensuring that the city is kept clean all the time. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has directed the Lusaka City Council, LCC, to engage property owners whose structures are blocking waterways and causing floods in residential areas. President Hichilema notes that some properties that are blocking water passages may have to be demolished. He, however, says the council should engage those affected in a manner that would not lead to litigation. He, however, says, the president says when matters go to court, they will delay solutions to the prevailing flood situation while people continue to suffer. He says matters should by all means be addressed outside court so that people's lives and property are safeguarded as soon as possible. The head of state made the remarks when he toured various places affected by floods in the capital city, Lusaka. Amongst the areas visited were Garden House, Misisi, Kanyama and Chawama compound.
We start working now. All the remedies, medical measures start now. Because these citizens of ours are at risk of basically getting a disease, infection. So how can we wait and talk of tomorrow? It's now. That's why we are all here. Minister Health is here, Minister Water is here, MP is here, Mayor, Deputy Mayor is here, DMMU is here, Army is here, Staff is here, everybody is here. Infrastructure is here, here is the Minister of Health here, State House is here, everybody. Here is the Minister SME. We are all here. We work as a team, journalists, let's work as a team. Don't write a different narrative there. That the UPND government wants to demolish houses. No, the UPND government wants to drain to protect citizens, all of them. Nikayangana pa forehead and Morembe what UPND or PF or what is this other thing? Socialism. Forget about socialism.
Minister of Water and Sanitation, Mike Mposha, has underscored the emergency measures that are being enforced to avoid subjecting citizens to drinking contaminated water. He acknowledges that flash floods that are being experienced in several parts of the country have led to contamination of water, hence the ministry providing water through bowsers in affected areas. He has, however, clarified that not all brownish water reflects contamination.
Areas where we could be experiencing floods, in areas where we have the cholera, outbreak, we go in and pump out the fecal sludge from the septic tanks, so that we avert, this crisis from spreading further. So the ministry is on top of things to ensure that from our end, whatever we can do, we input. And you may wish to know that we are also part of the Council of Ministers on disaster management. So we are working together to see what contribution we can put in areas where people are affected with floods, but also in areas where people are affected with the cholera outbreak.
Government is confident that the continuous distribution of farming inputs in Southern Province and beyond by alpha commodities will complement the aspiration to have a bumper harvest and achieve national food security. Choma District Commissioner Sikaleya Gamela is confident that the gesture will help reduce pitfalls in the Farmers Input Support Program. And Alpha Commodities Company Operations Manager Ndeleki Mianda says the move is aimed at making sure that the commodity is available and easily accessible to farmers and agro-dealers in its catchment areas. And farmers are happy that the timely supply of farming inputs will help increase productivity levels for the 2023-2024 farming season. More in the following report.
Agriculture is among Zambia's important sectors that aid the job creation agenda, economic sustainability, and overall national food security. The 2022-2023 farming season was not without challenges, as reports of delayed supply of farming inputs flooded local media outlets. Alpha Commodities, who are among players in the sector, have embarked on a model of continuous supply of fertilizer in Southern Province and other parts of the country to eliminate pitfalls in the distribution supply chain. Company Operations Manager Ndeleki Mianda says the move is aimed at making sure that the commodity is available and easily accessible to farmers and agro-dealers in its catchment areas and eliminate the tendency of last-minute preparations with the view of complementing the government in achieving a bumper harvest for the 2023-2024 farming season.
Commodities has been in this business for the past 7 years. And one of our models is an all-year-round stocking. So the idea is to make it easy for the farming community to access the fertilizer throughout the year. Because obviously in the next 2 months, I think with the good rains that we have had in the district, in the province, I think farmers very soon will start selling their produce. So this place is open for the farmers. So it's one of the places in the province. There are many other places where this activity is happening in the province. And we've also actually gone beyond Southern Province. This is an activity that we are doing throughout the country. The idea is to try and bring this commodity closer to farmers.
This brings excitement to farmers.
So we recommend Alpha Commodity for what they have done today, and it is surprising to the country as a whole. At the same time, it's also to the value chain. All of us, we are ready to come and purchase as business people, to purchase our inputs here. We don't need to wait until the rains come. For us, we can say Alpha has done it this year, and they have been distributing inputs for a period of time in Southern Province. To us, it's a recommended thing.
It's important that the commodities are with the farmers on time, and I think with consideration to the fact that transportation of fertilizer, which is the biggest cost within the hectare, but it's also the bulkiest part of the hectare. In other words, storage, transportation, logistics are difficult. So if you try and squeeze it into a very short time at the end of the year when the rains are coming, I think that's where we've been getting it wrong.
Choma District Commissioner Sikaleya Gamela is optimistic that the continuous distribution of farming inputs in Southern Province and beyond by Alpha Commodities will complement the aspiration to have a bumper harvest.
Your coming here is actually a blessing. I'm told that you'll be setting, you'll create selling points for fertilizer, where our people will actually take advantage. I'm aware there are other players in the fertilizer industry, but when there are more than one, I think our members of the community will take advantage because they will be competitive in terms of prices. Let me take this opportunity that most of our people, let me say, all the customers that need this commodity are in the rural area. Maybe as time goes, try to see how best you can do so that probably.
And the farming community in Choma and Monze districts is happy with the proactive approach demonstrated by the firm. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
HIVO's Country Engagement Manager for the Voices for Just Climate Action, VCA, William Chilufya, has underscored the need to make the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, climate sensitive in order to create a resilient economy. Mr. Chilufya notes that despite CDF having a component of disasters, there is a need to mainstream climate change issues in all projects being implemented at local level to enhance coping mechanisms. He therefore says there should be a component of a green fund. Mr. Chilufya is, however, saying that government has shown willingness to make sure that CDF responds to climate change issues. More in this report.
Since the coming of the United Party for National Development Administration, the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, has been turned into a panacea of development, but its implementation is not without teething issues. The CDF allocation for the year 2023 stands at 28.3 million kwacha from 25.7 million kwacha for the previous year. However, 9 state actors in the environmental sector have come up with recommendations to make CDF climate responsive. HIVOS, Southern Africa, in partnership with local, regional and international non-government organizations under the Voices for Just Climate Action Project, is leading the way by partnering with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development on how to make CDF climate sensitive. William Chilufya is HIVOS Country Engagement Manager for the Voices for Just Climate Action Project.
We are on board together is trying to see how the guidelines for the Constituency Development Fund can be much more categorical, can be much more clear to foster environmental protection, to foster the addressing of climate change challenges that we're experiencing in the country. We have communities now that have taken up the issue of local climate solutions. So what is happening is that when they come up with a solution, and then it ends just there. They are lacking resources at the grassroots level to implement some of the initiatives that they have, which can go a long way in addressing climate change at a community level. Remember, the challenges of climate change are actually felt more at the community level.
He is confident that the government will accommodate stakeholders to ensure that projects under CDF respond to climate change issues and take into account financing of green projects.
About discussing how can we do this, how do we revise the guidelines to ensure that they incorporate or they put premium on issues to do with climate change and the environment. And so far we've seen and looked at different ways in which this can be done, and we are so grateful with the input from civil society, the input from local government, officials in Iteztezi, in Chongwe, and many other stakeholders at the national level that have been part of this process and be able to say this can be done. It's a good forum that we have already, but all we need to do is let's get and let's push.
We also spoke to Chongwe Constituency Wimba Ward Councillor Vincent Mwachieya, who underscored that it is important that CDF projects become climate shock proof by making sure that public infrastructure such as roads, bridges, schools and health facilities are able to withstand extreme weather patterns such as flash floods being witnessed in the country.
Therefore, it's a good thing that we could actually, the issue of climate change, even the project that we are approving as the UDC, it's very important actually that we ensure that even the classrooms that we are building, the borders that we are doing, they are supposed to be climate resilient. However, there's need for more sensitization, so that we do more sensitization, especially at the community level, so that people, they do understand what we mean when we say climate change, what climate change is.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Zambia Association of Citizen Contractors, ZACO, has expressed concern at the delay of dismantling debt owed to local contractors and the continued bad publicity of local contractors by the UPND administration. Addressing the media in Lusaka Sunday, Association President Mutale Mpepo disclosed that local contractors have continued to face challenges in acquiring financial assistance from lending institutions for their projects due to the continued bad publicity that the government has associated them with. He explains that local contractors are complaining of being disadvantaged because government has labeled them as criminals who fail to deliver once paid. Mr. Mpepo advised the government to focus on clearing the debt it owes local contractors for completed works as opposed to calling them names. More in this report.
Zambia has in the past years been described as a construction site by some international observers and citizens due to massive infrastructure projects across the country. However, these infrastructures were not devoid of controversy When it comes to awarding of contractors, most of the jobs were given to foreign contractors on the assumption that many local contractors lack capacity. In some cases, the local contractors have been accused of failing to work after being paid. Sunday, the Zambia Association of Citizen Contractors, ZACO, reviewed the challenges being faced by local contractors in acquiring financial assistance from money lending institutions for their projects due to the continued bad naming the current administration has associated them with. The association, through its president Mutale Mpepo, disclosed that local contractors are at a disadvantage of securing contracts, and this has been attributed to the continued name-calling, to the fact that the UPND administration continue to view them as criminals who get money without fulfilling their obligation.
We would like to express our disappointment at the delayment in the dismantling of debt owed to local suppliers and contractors and the continued bad publicity of local contractors by government. The association, ZACO, is worried at the pace at which government is moving to dismantle debt owed to local contractors and suppliers. A huge component of the country's total debt stock is owed to local contractors and suppliers. Instead of government negotiating with contractors, we have a situation where contractors are being insulted every day in both the print and digital media, called criminals, thieves, and incompetent. We urge government to be slow at criminalizing contracts and not view contracts with a criminal lens.
ZACO has since urged government to be slow in criminalizing contracts and not view contracts with a criminal lens.
It has also denied them opportunities to work in other jurisdictions. Stop insulting us. Support us. Promote us. Pay us. It's very disheartening to see government aggressively working to resolve foreign and international debt while ignoring the local contractors and suppliers. There is need for government to quickly meet the representatives of contractors and suppliers with a view to discussing and working out mechanisms which will lead to the dismantling of the outstanding payments for services rendered to avoid depression and further loss of lives.
Government has on several occasions indicated the lack of honesty on the part of some local contractors has dented the reputation of this sector in the country, as evidenced by many abandoned projects that had been given to local companies.
You claim to be a businessman or woman, you supply air, then you invoice. Then you say, no, suppliers are not being paid. Icona, man. Icona. It will not happen. It will not happen. You can complain as much as you want. The audits are on, and they're establishing strange things. And the changes were...
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
National Democratic Congress Party President George Sichula has charged that it is illogical for the opposition Patriotic Front to advise the government on the students' meal allowances when they had abolished it while in government. Recently, Mpika constituency Member of Parliament Robert Kapyanga said despite being a progressive move, government must increase meal allowances to 3,000 kwacha from 650 kwacha. But Mr. Sichula says the UPND has done what the PF could not do. Hence, it is unfortunate they want to undermine the program. He says students who are the beneficiaries are happy with the reintroduction of meal allowances.
In short, what made the PF to remove the meal allowances is because there was no money, maybe. Okay, but this government has tried to look for some money, even in a small way, of course, obviously, where we are going, the government may think of increasing that money because the 650 kwacha is not enough. Yeah, so it's better than nothing. Yeah, let's begin from there, where we are going. I'm sure there could be an increment so that we buy more from that meal allowance. For now, I cannot agree with the PF that we scrap it out completely. I think that's been cruel. Yeah. Meanwhile, our students are happy that at least we have jump-started the process of giving them meal allowances. They've got hope that next time they may receive more once the government have more money.
United Party for National Development Deputy National Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde has warned civil servants against frustrating government's development agenda. Mr. Mwinde has called on those who are not willing to propel the United Party for National Development UPND agenda to be reassigned to other sectors. He has since called for the redeployment of underperforming public service workers in order to enhance productivity levels in the civil service.
In areas where frustrations are imminent, we need a service delivery that which will move in line with the leadership of government, and also the civil service in terms of what the president is pronouncing, his pronouncements, and what other people that are below him are doing is pulling in a different direction. I am also an advocate and a clear supporter of maybe transferring or reassigning, redeploying of people that are non-performing. Clearly, I don't believe in ending their economic ability to survive and sustain their lives, but I believe that they can be redeployed or reassigned in other areas where they can be able to contribute to the national development based on their capacity, failed capacity. Because we have a lot of people that are full of promises, but when it comes to delivery or achieving or maybe being helpful to the citizenry, they are nowhere near. We thank you.
Former Patriotic Front Mufumbwe Member of Parliament Stephen Masumba says the torture and inhumane treatment of suspects is a violation of human rights which must not be encouraged. Reacting to a statement recently issued by the Human Rights Commission on torture, Mr. Masumba tells Camnet TV News that an act of torture on suspect as a form of punishment in a bid to correct them is illegal and cruel. Mr. Masumba underscored the need for alternatives to confession-oriented criminal justice system, which have been found to incentivize abusive and coercive interrogation tactics. More in this report.
Police torture is a vice that countries like Zambia have been trying to curb, as it has proven to be a violation of human rights according to Article 15 of the Constitution, Chapter 1 of the Laws of Zambia, and the ratification of the United Nations Convention Against Torture, UNCAT. In 2022, the Human Rights Commission recorded 19 cases of human rights violations as a result of torture, a reduction of 20 cases as compared to the 39 cases that were recorded in 2021. The Commission to this effect reiterated its call to the government to consider enacting a law criminalizing torture and other inhuman treatments, according to a statement issued on 21st February 2023. This has also been noted by former Patriotic Front Mufumbwe Member of Parliament Stephen Masumba, who condemns the act, stating that torture in correctional facilities is a violation of human rights and poses health risks to victims. The former lawmaker notes that in order to work in accordance with the correctional services agenda, suspects must not be subjected to torture, adding that when suspects are confined in a correctional service, they are taken with a view to reform them and not harm them.
We cannot get away all the rights from someone because someone is incarcerated. That is why here in Zambia, you've seen that we have moved away from the mentality, the syndrome of what we used to call it, the prisons, because those days they used to call them prison service. This time around, they are no longer called prison services. It is a correctional service. Correctional service, which implies that it's a situation that borders on how to correct the mindset of those who are already found guilty, those who are who have offended, who have created some atrocities to the nation. So when they go there, they are taken there with a view to reform and to restructure their mindset, and hence it is called the correctional service. So
Mr. Masumba adds that torture is a crime against humanity, and it is for this reason and many other reasons that it is prohibited, further urging persons confined to report any form of torture without fear.
You people in the prisons there, out there, we've all been in prison before. Please don't keep quiet. Allow yourselves to report this necessary if it is happening, report, and ensure that when you report, obviously that's why we're here. We will ensure that this thing will be fought. Even while you are there, we'll fight for you.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television, main news. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. We'll continue with Camnet Television main news. Kafiwe constituency member of Parliament Miriam Chonya regrets that women have continued to be sidelined in decision-making positions even after 57 years of self-governance. Ms. Chonya notes that women are key players in steering social and economic development of any country, hence the need to ensure 50-50 gender representation in all spheres. She has, however, called on women in positions of influence to lead by example by upholding good values and principles to avoid bringing women into disrepute. The parliamentarian has therefore implored the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to punish women who were involved in the Kafiwe district land wrangles. More in this report.
Low levels of female political representation in Zambia are considered to undermine the quality of the country's democracy. According to the World Bank in 2017, at 18%, Zambia had the lowest proportion of seats held by women in the national parliament in sub-Saharan Africa. The Zambia National Women's Lobby recently released a review of the year 2022, highlighting the low levels of female representation in leadership and decision-making positions in the country. The review indicated that women made up just 14% of members of parliament, 7.6% of councillors, 12.9% of mayors and council chairpersons, and 17.8% of cabinet members, while at provincial level, only 10% of ministers are women. United Party for National Development Kafue area member of parliament, Miriam Chonya, has bemoaned the low levels of women representation in decision-making positions in the country. In an interview with Camnet News, Ms. Chonya says women are key players in the development of the country to contribute the nation's development.
Women, those are the issues as we are looking for equal representation in different decision-making positions, in governance. When even in the public, service, the women's lobby has done, studies that have shown that we are still very highly underrepresented as women, and I think it's really time that as a country we started walking the talk in terms of ensuring that we have gender equality. We have signed various protocols which required women to be represented at the level of 30%. We didn't get to attain that as a country. But the world has now moved on, and they are talking about having women represented at 50%. And other countries have attained that. I think for Zambia, we really also should be able to do that, especially when we hear and listen from the president, emphasize, on these things pertaining to gender equality.
Meanwhile, Ms. Chonya has urged the government to penalize councillors who were found wanting in the alleged land administration scandals in Kafue, and this resulted in the suspension of some councillors by Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Nkombo.
That the culprits, to this issue are brought to book. The minister, when lifting the suspension, did say that those were preliminary findings. I hope that we can go deeper and bring the culprits to book, because that's the only way we are going to deter, people from doing such unfortunate vices. I like it that the president today has repeated his strong message on corruption, that there shall be no sacred cows in the fight against corruption. And so there shouldn't be in those that are found wanting in dealing with land issues in an illegal manner. So I want to appeal to our council in Kafue to do the right thing, to put us back on the map by ensuring that this particular issue of land maladministration becomes a thing of the past.
Sampa Mulenda, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Goodwill Ambassador for Persons with Disabilities, Elijah Ngwale, has commended the Ngoni Royal Establishment in the manner in which they managed the affairs of the Ngoni people during the just-ended Inchwala ceremony. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Ngwale says the Ngoni-speaking people must work hand-in-hand with other stakeholders in order to maintain their cultures and traditions and avoid going into oblivion. Meanwhile, Mr. Ngwale has commended President Hakainde Hichilema for conferring him with the President's insignia of honor.
I commend Ngoni Royal Establishment for the manner they have managed the affairs of Ngoni people in the chiefdom. They have exposed, they have tried to maintain a calm. But I advise Nkosi Amankosi and the Ngoni Royal Establishment to refrain from wako ni wako. These are tribalistic and provincialistic and provincial. They must not do that. Waliakaki aliye mlano ni corruption. Charuchwama na wako ni tribalism or provincialism. Umosi kumawa ni provincialism. These should not be done at all. I also call for the Ngoni people to fight for the renaissance of Ngoni tradition, culture, and language. The Ngoni Royal Establishment should work very closely with South Africa so that we can resuscitate, we can rejuvenate the Ngonihood. Otherwise, we shall go into oblivion. On behalf of persons with disabilities, on behalf of, indeed on my own behalf, I would like to commend the President of the Republic of Zambia President of the Republic of Zambia, man of God, Hakainde Hichilema, for conferring on me the status of the President's insignia of honor. The President's insignia of honor on 24th of October.
National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACE's Executive Director Aaron Chansa says that teachers across Zambia are excited that Cabinet has finally approved the popularly talked about National Pension Scheme Amendment Bill of 2023 for publication and introduction in Parliament. Mr. Chansa says he is confident that the National Assembly will amend Section 19 of the current NAPSA Act in order for teachers to begin getting part of their savings pre-retirement benefit after serving for 10 years. He says the introduction will enable educators to venture into viable businesses and build decent houses without entangling themselves in expensive debt. Mr. Chansa further states that once Part 5 of the NAPSA Act is seriously and wholly attended to, teachers will be retiring with handsome amounts of money as opposed to the current arrangement where NAPSA only gives small monthly allowances as pension.
Once this law is attended to, we are sure that members of parliament are going to make it mandatory that all NAPSA members, including our teachers, who will be able to withdraw part of their contributions to NAPSA so that they can use this money to venture into viable businesses and also build the decent accommodation.
You're watching Camnet Television Main News. We'll take our second and final break. Join us after the break for international and sports news.
On Monday, 27th February 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Mr. Xavier Chishimba, President of UPP.
What you are saying is, we in the UPP, if we want to fight against corruption, we must separate as a matter of agency policy formulation from implementation. Right now we have 9 ministries making policies, implementing policies. It is wrong.
As they discuss governance, corruption, justice, and economy.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, some Nigerians stood watch at their polling stations as counting got underway late Saturday, February 25. Others cast their ballots after a day of delays in the country's general elections amid fears of vote tampering. For the first time this year, Nigeria's election results will be transmitted electronically to headquarters in Abuja, a step officials say will reduce voter fraud. More in this report.
Cyclone Freddy tore through Mozambique on Friday with winds reaching up to 113 kilometers. It made landfall in the coastal city of Vilanculas. In its wake, it left many Mozambicans whose lives had been turned upside down. Maria Vasco Timbe and her 4 children found themselves picking up the pieces of what was left of their home. It happened yesterday at 3 p.m. My son Nelson came and told me, "Mama, at home you won't like what you see." Then I came home and really saw that everything was destroyed. No blankets, no food. I couldn't use anything in there. I started thinking, how am I going to start building again? Because from where I stand, it is not possible. How am I going to do it? And I started to cry when I saw that my children would not go to school because they no longer had books and exercise books. A tropical cyclone scientist at the UN Weather Agency said the cyclone will compound a volatile scenario in Mozambique. Freddy was projected to weaken as it continued through southern Africa. Some Nigerians stood watch at their polling stations as counting got underway late Saturday. Others cast their ballots after a day of delays in the country's general elections amid fears of vote tampering. This voter in Abuja was unhappy with the Electoral Commission, INEC.
With the situation we have, it goes a long way to question the credibility behind the activities of INEC, because we have been told prior to now that elections will be done devoid of hitches and results will be transmitted electronically.
In addition to logistics issues, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission confirmed an attack in the nation's northeast.
I want to report that the military has confirmed that it was an 81mm mortar attack on 2 facilities, including a filling station near INEC office, but no damage to INEC facilities and no casualties. Some people were injured and they're in hospital. We wish them a speedy recovery.
The Commission also said voting at over 100 polling units in Bayelsa State would take place on Sunday after the ballot was disrupted. Nigerians await the results. A court in Paris sentenced Moroccan singer Saad Lamjared to 6 years in prison. A jury and 3 magistrates spent 7 hours deliberating Friday before the singer was found guilty of raping a French woman at a luxury hotel in October 2016 while drunk and under the influence of cocaine. During the trial that started Monday, Lamjared had denied the allegations of rape and assault on Laura P., who was 20 at the time. The president of the circuit court did highlight in the verdict the varying and evolving statements of the singer. The 37-year-old star was expected to be imprisoned starting Friday. His lawyers told the press they must reflect before deciding on a potential appeal. Lamjared is one of the Arab world's most popular artists. In his home country, Morocco, King Mohammed VI awarded him the highest national honor in 2015.
Let's have some sports news now. Now, sports news tonight. Lusaka Rugby Club General Secretary Francis Nonde says the Kids Training Initiative aimed at keeping children out of the streets has gained momentum in its 13 years of existence. Speaking in an interview with Camnet Sports, Mr. Nonde explains that the club, in partnership with other stakeholders, has played a vital role in the physical and mental development of the children as it keeps them away from engaging in bad vices. Also speaking during a session is Monica Musonda from Java Foods, who has explained that the company has been working in support of the Lusaka Rugby Club by providing them with food in order to ensure that the children are healthy and ready to play the game.
We have this great initiative behind us where we're getting kids from the neighboring compounds to come through and enjoy the game of rugby. Of course, it's not easy to bring kids together, so we thought of an initiative to give back something. So through our partners, as you can see here, we've got Freddy Hesh, Java Foods, Country Choice, who give us foodstuffs. Country Choice give us chicken. Freddy Hesh give us some beef and some spices, and we get noodles from Java Foods just to have a basic meal for the kids. As they finish, they enjoy lunch and just a few talks on life. We just brought our little boys and kids, about 5, 6 of them, just to enjoy rugby and have a few drinks afterwards. So we thought to ourselves, saying, you know what, this is a good initiative, we can actually extend it. So we went into the compound and just started calling kids. And to our surprise, they gained a lot of momentum. And at this speak now, we have over 100 kids that come through. And we can proudly say this is a success because some of the kids here have gone all the way to play for the main team and some have even played for the national team.
We're here today at Lusaka Rugby Club to support what the Rugby Club is doing for young children here in Lusaka. As you can see behind us, we have young girls and boys actually being taught the art of rugby, the sport of rugby, but also discipline, competitive behavior, and also just inspiring kids to be active. So we're really happy to partner with them. We're giving them noodles to eat after they've trained, and we're happy to just be here to get children off the streets and more positive. us, we want healthy children, we want happy children, we want active children. So this makes perfect sense for us as a business to support ventures like this, because it actually gets kids moving, gets kids to be more competitive, also to believe they can do anything they want. And also what's really important, these are kids from vulnerable communities, and these kids need to be uplifted, to be told they can do anything they want to do if they work hard.
On that rugby note, we come to the end of our Camnet television news tonight. Before we go to the headlines once again. Local contractors urge President Hakainde Hichilema to stop calling them criminals. The UPND calls for redeployment of non-performing civil servants. Government backs the continuous distribution of farming inputs. In international news, Nigerians keep watch for votes outcome after delays. And in sports news, Zambia Rugby pledges to continue transforming the lives of vulnerable children. Our comment verse of the day is coming from Deuteronomy 4, verse 29. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him, if you search after him with all your heart and with all your soul. Again, thank you so much for watching Camnet Television. My name is Jeffrey. Bye-bye.